The recording has been started and we are in the Namaste friends. We are in the series of discussion of medical review of Bhagavad Gita, where we will discuss about the few sutras of from Bhagavad Gita, which are actually written or scripted as a in a medical context. So we were discussing about the spiritual anatomy and physiology in Bhagavad Gita. So we already covered in last session up to the functional spirituality, ruler and Vikruti, a kind of a Maya, and how Yoga Maya is a can countercheck that Maya. Okay, and what are the consequences of these Vikrutis? What are the behavioral consequences of the diseases, and solutions to overcome that Vikruti or that Maya that Sri Krishna has provided. Almost 3 to 4 in 2 chapters, 3 to 4 sutras are there. How we can deal with all these kinds of Vikrutis or Maya. Now today we will discuss about the last 2 bullet points here. Knowledge of 6 pillars of the health. We should know that how I get health or how I remain healthy. Okay, once we come to know about the normal physiology or normal health, or which are the supporters or which are the pillars, okay, on which the health is sustaining, then we can maintain that pillar and we can continue our health. So which are the basic responsible or basic fundamental pillars of the health on which the health is or human as well as atmospheric health is sustaining, so that if we'll come to know that pillars, we will try to maintain them or we will try to protect them so that our health will also get protected. So that we'll discuss about the 6 pillars of the health. And then limitations of the human senses or physical abilities. Human body, as considered to universal context, human body has a lot of limited resources. Okay, still though human body is or human being is a most evolved animal on the earth, still it has lot of limitations. Okay, lot of limitations of the senses. It is a very complex physiology or complex functioning the human brain as well as the human body has, but still it has lot of limitations, and that is described in the Bhagavad Gita in one sutra. So we'll discuss about that. So let's start our from our knowledge of the pillars. Okay. So coming to the knowledge of 6 pillars of the health. Our health, as I said just now, our health is depending or our health is based on these 6 pillars or these 6 sub principles that we are little bit of that is we are aware, like adhibhuta, matter. Okay, this physical body or the atmosphere, we try to keep our physical atmosphere healthy so that we should not get diseases. Okay, we try to keep our body healthy or body hygienic and fit. Okay, so that is only one of the pillar of the health. Okay, so these are others 5. We are at least very few people are aware of other 5 basic pillars of the health, so that if we are able to keep this pillar healthy or pillar stable and strong, then health will be continuously sustaining or continuously will be sustaining throughout our life or throughout the time. Okay, so which are the 6 pillars basically? Akshara Brahman, that is the absolute or that is the Purnatva, or that is a basic creator or the basic energy creator, creating, maintaining and destroying energy of this universe. Adhyatma, that is a spirituality. We will discuss this one by one in detail. Karma, that is the actions or the activities done by the individual. Adhibhuta, that is the matter things that contributes the matter, the human physical body as well as the surrounding matters, the house or the surrounding wherever you are staying or we are working, that continue external matter things. Adhidaiva, that is the divine intelligence, and Adhiyatnya, that is a karmic intelligence. Okay, so these are the basic 6 pillars. If these 6 pillars are healthy, strong, and stable, then we get continuous, complete health. Okay, if any of these pillars are getting disturbed or are not stable, they are getting shaken. Why these pillars are not stable? Because of our activities only. Okay, human being do lot of or commit lot of activities or lot of karmas that can be that can cause the harm to these 6 pillars. Okay, if I will not, for example, let us take an example of adhibhuta. If I will not keep my surrounding hygienic, that is, in that way I am disturbing my health. Okay, so like that, if we disturb our activities, if our activities are supporting to this 6 pillar, or if our activities are making this 6 pillar strong and stable, then we can get continuous health, or our health will not at all be disturbed. But if we are causing damage to this 6 pillar in any way, we will observe, we'll discuss how we are causing damage to these 6 pillars. If we are causing any kind of damage to these 6 pillars, then the end result of that activity is unhealth or ill health, or we commit to diseases. Okay, so let's start about the first pillar. In 8th chapter, 3rd sutra, actually Arjuna, in 2nd sutra, Arjuna is asking about all these things. What is Adhibhuta, what is a Adhideva. So that is the 2nd sutra of 8th chapter. So as an answer of that sutra, Bhagwan or Shri Krishna is answering this giving answer in this 3rd sutra. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavot Bhavakaro Visargah Karma Saudhnitah. Okay, so our first pillar is in this. First, I will describe the definition, meaning of this sutra. He is telling that who is in 2nd sutra, Arjuna is asking who is a basic or who is basically in subtler aspect, who is responsible for myself or for my existence. So he is asking, Krishna is answering, Brahman. Okay, Brahman, that is the absolute, that is the Purnatva, that is a pure consciousness, supreme soul, Sri Krishna, Lord Shiva, whatever the names or whatever the rupa you want to give, that is a Brahman, absolute, basic creative energy, and that is a Akshara Brahman. Okay, so we can give the name Ram, Krishna, and Shiva, Lord Jesus, or anything. Okay, so but that is a Akshara Brahman. What is a Akshara Brahman? Undestroyable Paramatma. Akshara. Kshara means which can get destroyed. The Sanskrit word kshara means which can get destroyed, or which can be cut in pieces. Okay, so akshara means undestroyable. We cannot cut that, we cannot destroy that. Okay, so akshara, which is not perishable, which is not destroyable, and Brahman is an eternal and imperishable energy in this universe. So akshara, aksharatva, or this undestroyedness is the nature of Brahman. Okay, for example, see, there are in simple, we will explain this with simple example. There are alphabets, okay, A, B, C, D, or in any language, there are basic alphabets, okay, and there are words. So words can be, for example, this is a word Paramatma, or whatever, anything. We can take absolute. So it is absolute word is consisting of A, B, S, O, L, U, T, E. I can break this word, okay, but I cannot break or I cannot destroy the alphabet A, alphabet B, alphabet S, alphabet O. Okay, from this 7, 8, how many letters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 alphabets are there in the word absolute. So I can make different words. I can do the permutation and combination of this alphabet, and I can make a different word from that alphabets. But I cannot destroy the alphabets. I can destroy the word absolute, but I cannot destroy the alphabets. So Akshara Brahman, this is a basic difference between a Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, Paramatma is like an alphabet, and the words are like a Jivatma. Different combinations of the energy. Okay, that can be break. So that's why Jivatma or takes the birth from in different manifestations. Okay, but Paramatma, that basic energy cannot be destroyed. So that is a Akshara Brahman. Okay, Aksharatva. So even if you take the example of the digits, we cannot destroy the digits from 1 to 9. Okay, we can break or the number 25 or 50 in different texts, but I cannot destroy the 2 and 5. Okay, so that is a basic energy, that is a basic alphabets, or that is a basic numbers, digits. Okay, so like that, Akshara Brahman is a basically responsible for our health. This is the most fundamental, most subtler energy which is responsible for our health. Okay, that's why it is a first pillar of health. And as we have discussed in previous sessions also, that who are responsible for involuntary functions. Okay, this Akshar Brahman, okay, this Paramatma runs all the involuntary functions. Whenever like alphabets, I can take alphabets and I can form words. As and when I don't want, I can disassemble that alphabets and the word is destroyed, or the word, any word, I can delete that word. Okay, so like that, Paramatma or the Akshara Brahman come in existence with some permutations and combinations, like that we call as a body, or that we call as a human being. Okay, and as and when the purpose of this body, taking this body or consuming or wearing this body is over, it destroys that body. Okay, that's why all involved, we discuss, as we discuss, all involuntary functions. No, as long as Akshar Brahman wants our heart, wants our involuntary functions to function, okay, till then it continues that function. As and when the purpose of continuation of the function of the heart or any involuntary function is completed, it stops functioning. Okay, so all involuntary functions, all the involuntary systems, okay, it is under the control of the Paramatma or of the Akshar Brahman. Even if you will observe in human body, if you are quite aware of the human anatomy and physiology, there are secretions of different enzymes and chemicals in the body. Okay, but we still, with the advanced modern science, I can tell you that in this amygdala portion of the human right brain or left brain or occipital lobe, you know, this enzyme is secreting, or this secretions are, chemicals are secreting, this dopamine, this cortisol, and so many things are getting secreted. But who is responsible for this secretion? Why in some diseases like Alzheimer's, dementia, multiple sclerosis, no, why the enzymes are not getting secreted properly? Nobody knows the answer. Okay, the reason is unknown. It is always said that that is the etiology, or the etiology is not known. We don't know that why these enzymes get sometimes secreted more, sometimes secreted less. We are not aware of that. So the Akshar Brahman is responsible for, or is having control over all these secretions. Okay, all these different enzymes, chemicals, cortisols, or hormones. Okay, that is getting secreted, or that is under control of the, or it depends on the human body situations also. Okay, suppose today I have to submit some kind of a project, then I have more secretions. Okay, I want my brain to be alert, I want more secretions. Next month my daily schedule is, work schedule is quite low or quite comfortable, so I don't want that, or don't want this kind of secretions and hormones getting secreted in my body. I don't have any control on that consciously, my Jivatma. But Paramatma knows this, and it gives you this kind of resources. Okay, so as and when these chemicals, these enzymes are getting secreted, getting function depending to the dynamic situations of the body. As and when required, it gets secreted. As and when not required, it get decreased. Secretions or enzymes get decrease in the body. So all these things are under the control of the Akshar Brahman. Okay, nobody knows that who is that, what is. I can tell you that where that enzyme and where that chemical is getting secreted in my maybe in my kidney or my liver or in my brain or whatever part of the brain. Okay, but who is responsible for that? That answer still we don't know. Though we quite have achieved the achieved the modern science, that technical science and everything. Still, we don't know that. So that is for that Brahman, that is Akshar Brahman, is responsible for that. Okay, and that's why in some bodies that combination or that balance get disturbed. Okay, if sometimes and when it is this kind, this pillar is shaken or this pillar is disturbed, we end up in the diseases like Alzheimer's disease, dementia. Okay, so many times we have observed the patient at the age of 30, 40 with the dementia, right? Dementia, Alzheimer's at the age of 60 and 70, or maybe 80. That is common. That is a, that Akshar Brahman says, okay, now your purpose of the body or this Jivatma in the body is now completing. So I am withdrawing from that. Okay. So I am taking back my support. Okay. And that's why the functions are getting lowered or the secretions are getting lowered. That is understood. But in the age of 30, at the age of 40, dementia, multiple sclerosis, the causes, the basic cause of all these diseases is still not known. So MND, multiple neural diseases, okay. So unknown etiology disorders, okay. So basically neurological disorders, very common disorders like migraine, epilepsy, that we have almost solved the mystery. But there are so many neurological disorders where we are still stuck to some points. We don't know. So the answer is lying in Vedic literature. That is, the Akshar Brahman is responsible for this. Okay. So if it's something like that, that if a king want to give the permission to some activity in his kingdom, then he will allow. But if he thinks that no, this activity is harmful for the society, so he stops that activity or he banned that activity. Okay. So like that, king has a complete control, or he governs the actually kingdom, or he governs the lives of all the citizens in his kingdom or in his land. So like that, Akshar Brahman governs the lives of all the people, all the living entity here on this earth. Okay. So that is our first pillar. Next one is Adhyatma, that is a spirituality. So what is Adhyatma? First, we will understand what are these, because basically we are not aware of all these 6 pillars also. So first we will understand what is these pillars and how it is helpful for our health. So what is Adhyatma? What is spirituality? There are different definitions of the spirituality. Okay. So I'm not saying this is only the definition. There are so many other definitions. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is described that Swabhava of Akshar Brahman. In this third sutra, he is saying Aksharam Brahmam Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. Brahma Swabhava Adhyatma Uchyate. Okay. So Swabhava of Akshar Brahman. So there is, we came to know that there is something called as a Akshar Brahman, there is something called as a Paramatma. Okay. So there is a energy, and its Swabhav, its characteristics, its activities, its nature is Adhyatma. Okay. Brahman always manifest in, we know till now, we know that Brahman manifest in the form of Jivatma in all living beings. Okay. So knowledge of this Jivatma and Paramatma, okay, how it works, basically it exists. Okay. First of all, so many people are not believing in this Jivatma, Paramatma and so many things. Okay. Existence of the ultimate reality. So first of all, believing in the existence of this Jivatma and Paramatma, and finding cooperation with them. Okay. Finding what are their signals, what they want us to do. Okay. What are their purpose, or why we Paramatma has get manifested in the form of Jivatma. Okay. So this is a quite subtler science. This is a quite fundamental science. That's why spirituality is, it is not a superficial science like physical sciences. Okay. We have physics, chemistry, biology, life sciences, and so many things. So these are superficial sciences. But Adhyatma, spirituality, is an occult science. This is a Gudha Vidya, which is a basic fundamental science. So it is difficult to understand, it is difficult to study also. So first of all, getting knowledge of this Jivatma and Paramatma, that yes, they are existing, and how they function, or what are their cooperations in between them. So finding everything related to this two entities, basic energies, is something called as a spirituality. So another definition of the spirituality is Atmani Adhi iti Adhyatma. Concerns, activities of two Atmans, maybe Jivatma, maybe Paramatma. Okay, first of all, we have to be getting connected to our soul, that is Jivatma, is a difficult process. It requires lot of activities, okay, or lot of efforts. Efforts are needed for that. And once we become one with the Jivatma, it takes lives. Okay, it doesn't take only years. Okay, people take lives and lives and lives, no, birth after birth after birth. This process of getting connected to the Jivatma is happening, okay, or is in the process actually. Okay, so wherever you start, that's again good. So if you come to know this today, you start your journey today. Okay, so concerns and activities of this Atmans, getting connected to Jivatma, getting connected to Paramatma, is something called as a spirituality. If our efforts are towards this direction, then we can say we are walking on the path of spirituality. So anything performed in accordance with wishes of these two Atman. Okay, first of all, if whatever, no, there should be connection, and then we will come to know that what they want us to do. Okay, so getting anything performed, getting signals from the inner core, not from the mind. Sorry. So when we say, I think I should do this. Okay, sometime we say, no, I think I have to go there, I have to come here, I have to do this kind of activity. So whether this your thought is from your body, is from your mind, is from your intellect, or is from your atma. So distinguishing this takes need lot of practices or lot of sadhana, first of all, because there are demands, there are calls, there are signals from intellect, from body, from mind, from Jivatma, and even from Paramatma also. So all these 4-5 entities or principles or energies are calling us or telling us. So it is always, it's like a 4-5 people are asking me to do something, okay, calling me same time, and calling me, 5 people are calling me at the same time. So this is my if this is my priority, that who to whom I should listen. Okay, so I should listen to the ultimate authority. Okay, first of all I should able to distinguish that, okay, these 5 people or these 5 energies are calling me or telling me something. Okay, commonly, in a common human being, he is not able to listen the call of Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, he just neglect these calls. So we should be always attending the call of the higher authority and then the lower authorities. So this is something called as a spirituality. Okay, anything performed according to or in coordinates with wishes or with signals of these two Atmans is called as a spirituality. Okay, so many times we say that I cannot give you the reason why I have to do this, but I feel from my inner core someone is telling me that yes, I should do this. Okay, I go and help to my enemy also. So many times, no, the person who has caused lot of damage to you, you go and help that person also, because logically if we'll think, we should not go and help them. Intellectually if we'll think, we should not go and help that person. Okay, but sometimes we say all these kinds of sentiments. I don't know the reason, I don't know why. Meri wish bhi nahi hai, I don't wish to help that person also, but still I feel I'm getting that inner call that I should do this activity. So that is the call from your Atman, that is a signal from your Atman. Okay, so these inner voices, we should have the habit of listening these inner voices, inner calls. Okay, and work according to that calls. So that is something called as a spirituality. So this is a second pillar of the health. Okay, because all the spiritual practices, you can practice this. Okay, you listen to this inner call, you will feel very satisfied. I'm not saying you will feel happy, you will feel inner satisfaction. Okay, feeling happiness and feeling satisfaction is something different. So all the spiritual practices, all the listening this inner call and working according to that, leads to the control over body and indriyas. Okay, that means if I am listening to higher authority, the lower authorities automatically will be under control. Okay, for example, if I am listening to the or I am following the head of chancellor of the university, all other professors, head of the departments will be in that lineup. Okay, so listening to the higher authority will give you automatic control, or will provide you the control over the bodies and indriyas. Okay, and everybody knows that the bodily demands or the physical demands, the demands of the mind, desires, demands of the indriyas lead to the diseases. If we work according to that, if we'll follow our body, if we'll our bodily pleasures, if we'll follow our mind, okay, then your indriyas, what they tell us, go and eat this, go and do this, okay, they keep on telling us like this. So and then we end up in a diseases or some kind of a consequences. So spiritual practices, listening to Paramatma, or all this kinds of, I'm telling you this in very brief. So spiritual practices gives you control over the body, pleasures and indriyas. That leads to the health. So always walking on the path of spirituality will give you complete assurance that you will face very few hurdles of the illness. Okay. Next one is karma. In that second sutra, third sutra, what is the answer? Question was, what is karma? What is action? Basically, we have to deal with this. What is the karma? We keep on talking about the karma. Sukarma, dushkarma, karma, akarma, vikarma. Basically, what is the karma? Okay, the dhatu or the Sanskrit verb is kru, to do something. Okay, karma. So, what is karma? The answer is bhuta bhavot bhava visargah karma. Action responsible to cause birth of jivatma. That is called as a karma. Action due to which, or as a result of which, we have born here on this earth. We didn't born here, get birth here accidentally. Okay, we have born here with some purpose, or we did something. Our jivatma did something, and that's why we have get birth here. This birth is a kind of a punishment. Okay, so we'll not enter in that subject. So the action which is responsible to, or which is responsible to cause births of jivatma in this mrityu loka, or in this world, or on this earth, is karma. Okay, so which are that karmas? Okay, there are there are a lot of karmas. Okay, some jivatma, why the jivatma or why the spirit take birth on this earth, that is this is a completely different topic. We can keep on discussing that also, but because of so many reasons, basically because of desires. Okay, basically because of desires, the birth, he wants something, or he want to express something, he want to experience something, or he want to complete some actions, or complete, he have some credits, he have some debits. Okay, for that he get birth on this earth. So, but so many times, suppose I have done something, some kind of a karma, or that karma has end up in some results. Okay, so I have to experience that results. Okay, for that I have to take the birth on this earth. Okay, so in our medical context, few diseases, okay, as a result of or the few diseases has the cause as a karmas. Okay, result of past karmas or present karmas. So what is see, when maybe since last 20 years I am searching the answer of this question, what is the basic cause of the disease? As a doctor, initially I learned Ayurveda and all this physical anatomy and physiology 20 years back. Okay, so from that age, I was just searching a simple question: what is the cause or root cause or seed cause of the disease? Okay, you will say, okay, if you will eat the unhealthy food, fine, then I will end up in disease, fine. But so many people keep on eating the unhealthy food, they don't end up in the diseases. Then you will ask me that you are not doing exercises, okay, that's why you are feeling ill, fine. So many people are not doing exercises, then also they are fit. Okay, so like that, I was searching the answer of the question, that what is the causes of the diseases. Okay, I found so many causes of the diseases. Okay, but at the end, okay, when I entered in the astrology, then I understood that seed cause of the disease. Okay, this journey started from Ayurveda, allopathy, yoga, spirituality, astrology, and so many things. So seed cause of the disease is karma. Okay, karma makes you to, because we know the chain of the karma or law of the karma. If I will start one action today, that will end up in some reaction, positive or negative, that will end up in some reaction. Okay. So the law of karma says that what happens to a person happens because they caused it with their actions in the past. Okay, whatever today is happening with me, the cause of that is hidden in our own past, maybe in the past or in this birth, or maybe in the past of last birth, or maybe the last birth. So this is not our first birth on the earth. Okay, so if we have to be now aware of all these things, this is not our first birth on this earth. We had been there. In one of the other contests, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, Arjuna, you were there previously, I was there previously. You know, it's not your first birth, but the only difference is that, Arjuna, you don't remember and I remember everything. Okay, and you don't remember, that's why you are having a lot of questions, and I remember everything, and that's why I'm very clear about this battle. Okay, so that sutra or that shloka is somewhere different. So the law of karma says that whatever happens to a person happens because they themselves, or that person himself, has caused it with with his karmas in past life, or maybe in this life, or maybe in somewhere in the past. Okay, so if you observe these diseases like infertility, okay, you'll observe, you go to infertility centers and observe. There are, of course, there are some physical causes of the infertility, there are functional causes of the infertility, hormonal causes, so many causes are there. But one section is there that we don't know, the male and female partner is quite compatible to give the progeny or to end up in some next to conceive, but still they do lot of practices, or do lot of treatment also, but still years and years they don't, the female don't conceive. Okay, so what are the basic, no, if the physical causes are there of the infertility, we can treat that. Functional causes are there, some hormonal imbalance or some kind of other causes, there are a lot of treatments. Okay, but still some causes of the infertility, it is karmas. Okay, we have, and even we have observed two live examples of this, that the lady got conceived after 15 years of the marriage, after 10 years of the marriage, when she end up with lot of treatments and she couldn't do anything and the answer was not known, and then she came to our ashram or our practices, and then after burning the karmas, okay, we have given her karma yoga, and lot of times 4-5 years she committed, or the couple committed with the karma yoga practices, and at the end the lady conceived. Okay, so the karmas are the causes, okay, of such diseases. Okay, that is, this is a pillar. If we are doing good karmas, that will result in the good health. If we are causing any kind of, knowingly, unknowingly, so many times we do such kind of actions unknowingly also. Okay, I can cause the some harm to a person unknowingly also, knowingly also I can cause, unknowingly also I can cause. So there are, karmas are the basic cause for your keeping your health good, in good condition. Let's think similarly with the autoimmunity, cancer, psychiatric disorders like multiple personality disorders, schizophrenia. Okay, so these are, if we cannot, now we have time limitations, so we cannot talk about the each and every diseases. So you will observe that this kind of diseases have the basic root cause in lies in their karmas. Maybe the karmas of this birth, or maybe the karmas of last birth. And even Ayurveda, the Indian medical science, yoga supports this statement. So this is the third pillar of the health. Good karmas, sukarmas, gives you the blessings uh, or creates the blessings or the positive vibration surrounding you. Okay, and that protects you from external and internal forces. Okay, and that gives you health in this birth or even in next birth also. So it's like having the some kind of a protection. So your karmas, if you have done some wrong things in past karmas, we don't in past births, we don't remember. Okay, we remember only, our memory is very poor. Okay, we don't remember anything. So any kind of sukarmas gives you or gives you the protection from internal and external forces. Okay. Now, what are these internal external forces? We'll just discuss within next 10 minutes. So internal and external forces, and that's end up in the health in this, or that can give you the health in this birth or maybe in next birth. Next one is the adhibhuta. Okay. अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषस्य अधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञो हवे मात्र देहे देहभृतां वर. Next, he asked also a lot of 4-5 questions in first, second sutra. So answer is given in next sutras. What is adhibhuta? The third pillar is fourth pillar is adhibhuta. That is adhibhutam ksharo bhava. What is adhibhutam? Which which changes or which get destroyed. Okay. For example, body. For example, atmosphere. For example, this nature also. Nature is also not constant. It keeps on changing. Okay. For example, few natural things are like Himalayas or like lakes or something, you know, they are constant, but their changes are happening in that also. So which changes, which get destroyed or which can get permissible, that is something called as a adhibhuta. Adhibhutam ksharo bhavaha. Continuously changes. It is a dynamic thing. Changes are happening in the physical matter, in the surroundings. So like, you know, climate changes, today is raining, monsoon, and so many things, you know, that keeps on changing. Okay. Even we changes the house, we changes, even body is also changing continuously. It is not, the body is not like that yesterday, what are the cellular metabolism I have. It is not today, it is not present. It changes. Okay. I am older than yesterday. Okay. So everything which changes, everything which get destroyable or which is possible to destroy, that is called as a matter. That is a adhibhuta. Okay. So anything pertaining, and that is always why it is called as a adhibhuta. That because that is pertaining to a bhutas, 5 basic elements, that pancha mahabhuta. Okay, Prithvi, Apa, Teja, Vayu, and Akash. So 5 elements, and as this body or this matter is the output of 5 elements, that's why it is called as a adhibhutik or adhibhuta. It is always akshara, it is destroyable, it is changing, it is perishable. Continuously it is changing. That's why it is called as a sthula deha or gross body, or again called as a kshetra also. Okay, in 13th chapter it is described as a kshetra, field. So this is the 4th pillar of the health. So we are aware of this. This is a very understanding of a common human being also, that if the healthy physical body brings you the health, and healthy physical atmosphere also gives you the health. So if we can keep this healthy, this 4th chapter, 4th pillar healthy, we can end up in a health, or the health gets supported. So this a common man also understand these things. Next one is, along with Adhidaiva, we are just aware that Adhibhuta is responsible for our health. Along with Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva and Adhiyajna is also a pillar or is also responsible for our health. Okay, so that is Adhidaiva is a divine intelligence. So what is that? Purusha or the Paramatma's supporter. You know, Paramatma is running some show or is running some game here in the universe. So it requires some energies. Okay, himself, you know, if I want to do some activity or I want to do some project, I will need some resources. I will need some people to conduct that activity. I will need some energy, authority to conduct that activity or complete that project. Like that, Paramatma or Purusha is along with this energy, that along with this divine energy or cosmic energy, runs this universe. And which are this divine energy, or which are this divine intelligence? Cosmic energies. There are some celestial bodies which are in the material forms, okay, like sun, moon, okay, these are, we say, navagrahas. These are celestial bodies that are present in the matter form or in the gaseous form, okay. uh, but some cosmic energies or some celestial bodies are not present in the matter form, they are in the non-matter form. Like Rigveda explains all the 24 basic gods or divine or cosmic energies like Agni, Vayu, Rudra. Okay, there are a lot of description in Rigveda in the first chapter. So these cosmic energies, these entities, okay, is something called as divine intelligence or Adhidaiva. Okay, Adhidaivik, that means pertaining to the Daiva or fate, okay, or these are unseen forces and energies, okay. Anything response, whatever happens in our life, the some activities or some kind of results are happening in our life, okay. So we keep on finding the reason of that. Sometimes we find the reason, sometimes we don't find the reason, okay. Suppose tomorrow I will or today I am facing some kind of consequences, some kind of problem, then I will find out why I am facing the problem. If I end up in the saying that okay, I did this, that's why I end up in this problem, fine, then I understood. But so many times we are not able to trace the cause of some problems, and then we say that is a fate, that is a daiva, okay. There is some cause, it's not like that if we cannot trace the cause is not present, okay. We cannot trace the cause, or we cannot find out that cause, okay. So that is the Adhidaiva. That is because of these unseen forces or unseen energies. That is because of the cosmic energies. We might have caused some disturbances in these cosmic energies. We might not have supported these cosmic energies. Okay, suppose if today I will cause some damage to you, tomorrow I will face some kind of a result. Okay, this is known cause, but because you are present in matter form, and if I will cause some damage to you, and then that's why I will end up in some consequences, that this I can trace. But as because you are in matter form, okay, here on this earth, but if I am causing some damage, some kind of consequences in this disturbances in this cosmic energies, which are a little bit of, some are in matter form, some are in non-matter form, then that will also end up in some kind of consequences. That is something called as a daiva, okay. So this daiva is includes the power of time, okay, kala, and cosmic energies. So any disturbances created by us in this cosmic energies or in this time or something called as a kala, that can end up in the diseases, okay. So that's why this is Adhidaivik is also called as a Sukshma Deha, okay. Something is very minute form, we are not able to visualize, we are not able to trace it, okay. This is Sukshma Deha or astral body or subtler body, okay. So this is the fifth pillar of the health, okay. This provides this fifth pillar provides the protection from this epidemic and pandemic situations, okay. What is the root cause of the, again yesterday we discussed, what is the cause of this coronavirus, or even these pandemics and epidemic situations keep on coming, or people keep on facing these problems after 100 years, after 120 years, this is not the first time that we are in the pandemic situation. So many times, in the history of mankind, the epidemics and pandemics keep on coming, or people keep on facing this kind of issues. Maybe 100 years, after 150 years, after 50 years, people keep on facing this kind of issues. Why? Because their karmas, no, their activities, no, we are aware that global warming, terrorism, we are doing lot of disturbances to the nature. That is in this way we are destructing this divine intelligence, we are destructing the adhidaivic activities or this universal activities, the activities of the celestial bodies, of the cosmic energies, and that's why we are ending up with the epidemic and pandemic situations, okay. So this is the fifth pillar of the health, which provides, if we will support that energies, if we will support that cosmic energies or these celestial bodies, then that energies will give us the protection from epidemic and pandemic situations. So that's why this is the fifth pillar of the health. Next, coming to the Adhiyatya, the karmic intelligence. Okay, so what is first of all, understand the what is Adhiyatya? Aham. Aham, that is he is a creator himself, is saying that, this is a picture. If you observe the picture, our galaxies and so much galaxies are getting run by some intelligence, that is a karmic intelligence. See here, that karmic intelligence is giving the pictorial presentation as a human body, but it is not present as a human body. Somewhere, if to visualize, we have given that karmic intelligence as a human body. Suppose, for example, if I am playing with a disc, something like that. So all these galaxies are getting run under this karmic intelligence, under this aham, that is the Adi Yatna. Okay, so this multi-universal galaxy, as well as this multi-universal structure, is getting run or controlled by some energy that is called as a karmic energy. Okay, so this aham, or this creator himself, who runs this multi-universe system, holds the holder of the yajna, holder of this universe. If you will find the similarity between the word yajna and universe, English word and the Sanskrit word. So the one who holds this complete universe, the one who holds this yajnas, who holds this karmic chain of action and reaction. Okay, so there is a chain of karmic. There is a karmic chain of action and reactions. Suppose I have initiated some karmas, or I have initiated some action. It keeps on giving. Today I am telling you this. I am passing my thoughts to you. Tomorrow it can come back to me. You will pass on to next people. So I am creating a chain of action and reaction. Okay, so this karmic chain, there is a karmic who is holding, who is putting all these thoughts in my head. Okay, he is the creator. I am not doing anything. Okay, so he is holding this karmic chain and action and reaction. He is responsible for this karmic chain and reaction, karmic chain of action and reaction. But it is, of course, it is a quite subtler knowledge, and it is very difficult to understand for our normal human being. So very elevated, or very the people who are in the Paramahamsa stage. Okay, in yogic sadhana, Paramahamsa is a quite higher designation. Okay, Paramahamsa, like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Paramahamsa Yoganand. Okay, that's a quite higher designation. So the people who are advanced yogi, we can say, one of the yogi was Paramahamsa Yogananda. He was saying that knowing this Adhiyatna is extremely difficult task. As Adhiyatna, his presence or God's presence in this world is known only by intuition, intuitively, by antarjnan. And that needs a lot of intuition, is an energy that can be achieved by long sadhana, or by long practice of yogic sadhana. Okay, so it can be understood, or it can be known only by intuitively, or by with the help of intuitions. Okay, and only by few advanced yogis like Paramahamsa Yoganand, Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, or so many people were there. So this is a karmic intelligence, because this is a quite transcendental, fundamental knowledge of the universe. And this is our sixth pillar of the health. It decides of the birth of the body, death of the body, when to start which body, or when to give birth. Now there are so many questions. Okay, who is responsible for birth? Who is responsible for death of a person? Let us take example of a person. Who has given this birth? Parents, a male body, a female body, a lady and a gentleman. Is are they responsible for birth of the child? No, this is our ignorance. They are not responsible. It's not under their control completely. Who is giving birth? Who is causing the death? No, we have seen a lot of people in the ICUs, in the hospitals. They are completely bedridden. No, still they are not dying. Okay, their relatives, this is a very true, bitter truth of the world, that their relatives want them to die, but they are not dying. Okay, the patient is not dying, or the patient, we cannot make him to die, that is illegal in India. So patient, the relatives are not supporting, the patient himself don't want to live, but still he did like he is not dying. Okay, so who is responsible for all this birth and death? Okay, so that is something called as a karmic intelligence. So if we want to get birth on the proper time, and if we want to get death on proper time, so we have to support this pillar of health. Nobody want to lie on the bed for and depend and make, being dependent on the other people. Okay, so if we don't want to do that, so we have to support the karmic intelligence, we have to create good karmas. Okay, so this is responsible for normal and abnormal states of the health also. If you'll observe some diseases, like chronic intermittent disorders like rheumatism. Rheumatism is a chronic disorder which sometimes, if you will observe the history, patient says that 1 year I was having the symptom, then again second year, or maybe after some time it decreases, after 2-3 years again it increases, then again there was a lapse. Okay, so this kind of, it is a chronic intermittent disorders, rheumatism, or maybe inflammatory diseases. Okay, there are a lot of inflammatory diseases like pancreatitis or hepatitis. Okay, inflammatory diseases, there are other causes of the pancreatic or hepatitis also, but inflammatory pancreatitis, inflammatory hepatitis, inflammatory cardiac infections. Okay, these are some examples that your karmas are responsible for, or your this adhi yajna is responsible for your health. Okay, so this is something giving frequent punishments. Okay, so if you are walking on the good path of spirituality or karmic intelligence or supporting this adi yajna, then you will be having the health. Otherwise, the day which you stop supporting this pillar, that from again that period you will feel you will get unhealth or illness. Okay, so this is our last pillar uh, of the health. So we if we can again go back and have the short brief things summary, that our first pillar is the Akshar Brahman, that's the absolute. Second pillar is the Adhyatma or spirituality. Third pillar is a karma. Okay, fourth pillar is the Adhibhuta. Fifth pillar is a Adhidaiva, divine intelligence, and sixth pillar is a karmic intelligence, Adhiyatna. Okay, so these are the basic 6 pillars which can keep you healthy. It will support this pillar, we will be healthy. And next, coming to the limitations of the human senses. Okay, so now this is another different topic. In 11th chapter, after hearing the glory of the God, Arjuna wanted to have the Vishwarupa Darshan. The name of the chapter is the Vishwarupa Darshan only. So in Vishwarupa Darshan, Arjuna asked Krishna that please, if you are telling that you are the doer of this universe, you are making everything, you are responsible for everything, then please I want to visualize you, that you are present in front of me now in a human body. Now I want to visualize you in your complete glorious form. Okay, so that is a Vishwarupa Darshan. So in 8th chapter, he is asking, Arjuna is asking Krishna that please show me your original form or your glorious form. That time, what is the answer given by Krishna? That describes the limitation of the human body, or that describes the limitation of the human senses. There is only one sutra. Natumam shakyase drashtum anenaiva swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogameshwaram. Shri Krishna says, hey Arjuna, you cannot see me with this normal and limited human senses or human eyes. Okay, then he is, Arjuna wanted him to visualize, he was discussing about only chakshu. okay, or about only eyes. You cannot visualize me with this normal, limited human eyes or human senses. Now, still, the one point is here that Arjuna was a yogi. Okay, he was a warrior. He was doing his sadhana from his childhood. You might have heard the stories of his stories in the ashram of Guru Dronacharya, that how he was practicing continuously, okay, his practices or his duties and so many things. Okay, so he was a completely yogi. He he was having a complete control. Actually, Arjuna is said to be a perfect human being. So Arjuna was a complete yogi. He was having a complete control over the body, complete control over the mind also. Still, he was not able to visualize. Krishna is saying, you will not able to visualize me because your resources provided to your human eyes or abilities or the functions, the strength of your eyes or ability of your eyes is not sufficient to visualize me. Okay, so I will give you Divya Chakshu. Divyam Dadami Te Chakshuhu. If you want to visualize me, I have to give you more resources. I have to give you the more abilities, a special vision. Like if you remember, the Krishna has provided that Divya Chakshu to Sanjay also. Okay, so that he can visualize what is happening in the battlefield, and then he can narrate that to Dhritarashtra, King Dhritarashtra. So that Divya Chakshu and that ability was provided to Sanjaya, one of the minister of the Kurukshetra, of the Kuru of that Darbar, was only for limited time. So it was not that Sanjay was able to see the far vision from his younghood. That ability was given by Krishna for time being. After completion of the battlefield, that was taken off. Okay, so like that, Divya Chakshu. Okay, so this Divya Chakshu, this special vision, because it can be adopted with the help of or with the grace of the God. But our body senses, our body functions, our body, whatever the organs we have, they are having lot of limitations. It cannot, if you want to extend that limitations, we can extend. So yoga is a basically techniques, or yoga is a process to cross over or to control over your limitations. You can extend all these resources. So step-by-step procedures are available in advanced yoga techniques. Here we will take one example. Okay, so one small example, then we will be able to understand. Okay, one fine day when Arjuna was very young, he was in the ashram of Guru Dronacharya. He was practicing his Dhanur Vidya. Okay, he was practicing because he was a very committed student. He was continuously throughout the day he was practicing, and then at the end of the day, when the sun set, that time he stopped his practice. Okay, so he stopped his practice and he was starting to go to his room. That time Guru Dronacharya came there and he asked that, why did you stop the practice? You should continue. If you want to become the best Dhanurdhar, best in your skills or best in your field, you have to work very hard. Why you have stopped? So that time Arjuna said that now the sun has set down and there is darkness. I cannot visualize my laksha or my wherever I have to aim my arrow. So how I can practice? So that time, what the answer given by the Guru Dronacharya is, this is your limitation. Identify your limitation that you cannot see in the darkness. Okay, and work on this. If you want to become the best Dhanurdhar, you should able to do your work or your skill in any circumstances. So this is your limitation. Work on this, and I will tell you the technique how to work on that. Okay, and then Guru Dronacharya taught some techniques to Arjuna, which developed the rod cells in the human eyes. Okay, so if we'll go to anatomy of the human eyes, this human eyes or human sight is the most developed and followed sense, followed by hearings. Okay, So there are two types of cells in retina, rod cells and cone cells. Okay, cone cells are generally in the higher state or in the most functional state, which are sensitive to color. Okay, and which is located in the part of a retina called as a fovea. That is the anatomical name of that place. So that is sensitive to color. Okay, in light I can visualize something, that is because of cone cells. But in less light or in dimmer light, rod cells are responsible to the dim light. In darkness there is light, but we cannot visualize that. Okay, we have to visualize that. We can visualize that with the help of rod cells. These rod cells are basically normally not sensitive to color, but have greater sensitivity to light. It can catch the minimum to minimum light in the darkness. Okay, and these are located basically in the fovea, same where the cone cells are located, and these are responsible for the peripheral vision and even in the night vision. Okay, so rod cells, even normally also rod cells are functioning in the normal human body, but we can extend that limitations or that functioning of the rod cells. Arjuna did that with the help of Guru Drodacharya. So he could able to visualize in the darkness also, and he could able to do his activities in the darkness also. So this is the human, our human senses are limited to one broad, I mean one at one level. We can extend that with the practice. Okay, but only the commitment and determination is needed. So like that, every senses has this kind of limitations. Okay, for example, this is well known, this is a broad spectrum of a light. Okay, so in somewhere in this is violet, no, we can able to visualize only from Vigbur, no, from violet to red. Okay, red, blue, yellow, green, we are aware of the seven colors of the, this is a visible light from red to the violet. What about the other next strength of the light, that is ultraviolet, lesser strength of the light, that is infrared? We are not able to visualize that. We can feel that, but not able to visualize. So the purpose of telling all this thing is that human body has a lot of limitations. That limitations can be overcome. Like Arjuna overcame all his limitations, and still, and then till he has a lot of questions in the battle. Okay, and that was answered by Krishna. So human body has a lot of limitations. It is not that's why we are not able to gain the knowledge of the universe. That because if I have restricted, limited resources, how I will able to work with full my efficiency? I have to stretch my limitations. I have to get more and more resources. I have to get more and more broad or wider energies. So again, yoga is the technique to achieve that. Okay, keep on walking on the path of yoga, you will get. There are not only today, what the world after the International Day of Yoga, it is coming in on 21st June. The few physical practices we are practicing, but there are a lot of advanced yoga techniques which can help us to overcome these limitations of the human senses. It's good that world is getting aware and world is walking on the path of yoga with the few sets of asanas and pranayamas. That's nice, very good. But there are so many hidden techniques in the yoga or in the Indian text or Indian yogic literature that can be explored, and that can give you the overcoming the bondages or limitations of this human senses. Okay, so here we are ending with this part. Thank you. I'm closing my, or I'm finishing my recordings.